Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. KJ Andy O is back in the house. Something a little different this time. Something a little bit different. I was contacted by Very Vocal Vapers. Big shout out to Christine. First, let's have a vape. To do a video for you guys. And it's for a very good reason, a very good purpose. And she wanted to know some questions about what made me switch to vaping and my whole vape history type of thing. And I thought I would share it with her and with you guys as well. All right, so let's go through her questions first, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and what brought me to where I am at. So how long did you smoke? I would say 32 years, I think. I don't know. I didn't really prepare this ahead of time. I'm just doing this on the fly. But definitely over 30 years, most definitely. When did I start vaping? Want to say in about 2011, right around there. But I didn't switch at that point, and I wasn't really comfortable with it. I'll just leave it at that. What device and nicotine strength did you start on, and what setup and nicotine strength are you using now? Okay, so that kind of goes to what I was going to say. I started with a company called Safe Sig. It was a Sig-alike type of thing, okay? You've all had a Sig-alike at some point, I'm sure. Most people have. I don't really remember the nicotine strength. I want to say maybe 18. I don't know, something like that. And after that, I went to vape shops and I got like better equipment and stuff. I mean, it still wasn't great, and it still didn't make me stop smoking. But more on that later. And I definitely started with 18 milligrams at the vape shop. Did you dual use for a long time before quitting smoking entirely, and if so, for how long? Or did you switch immediately, or did you stop tobacco nicotine entirely for a while and then start using a low-risk alternative? Well, it's kind of a multifaceted question there, isn't it now? All right, let's see if I can break this apart a little bit. Yes, I did dual use for a couple of years, actually. Back in 2011, the best devices weren't quite out yet, and they weren't satisfying to me. So I was dual purposing all the time. But I definitely cut way back on the cigarettes, okay? It was like a little half and half type of thing, So, yeah, so like I said, I went back and forth using dual, using vape, using cigarettes again. I switched a lot back and forth over the years. And if so, how long, or did you switch immediately? No, I definitely didn't switch immediately. Did you stop tobacco nicotine entirely for a while, start using a low risk? Okay, well, let's go way back, okay, to 2007. I decided to use another method, and this is the next question. It's so funny the way this works. The next question is, what other methods, patches, Chantix, Nicorette gum, etc., did you use to try to quit smoking before switching to a smoke-free alternative? How long were you able to go without smoking using these other methods before starting again? Tell you, I was using the patch. And they have like a couple different levels you're supposed to step down. I was on the highest level, and I was doing it for a good week and a half. And I'll tell you what, I was still smoking. I was still smoking while I was on that patch, and I was getting high as a kite, I will tell you, from all the nicotine. See, sometimes it's not the nicotine. It's not the nicotine. It's a certain addiction and fascination that we have with and blowing out a puff of smoke. And I think that's what it is for me. I don't think it's the nicotine. I certainly don't crave nicotine, and I certainly don't vape a very high level of nicotine, okay? All right, so what other methods? Yeah, yeah, so that lasted like a week and a half, and I went right back to smoking. I'm like, this is bullshit. I'm not doing this, because I felt like high all the time. I felt like I couldn't even control what was going on. Okay, what changes in the quality of life, both positive and negative, have you noticed since adopting the smoke-free alternative? Man, I got a lot more to say after all this, because these questions don't really cover it the way that I see it, okay? And it's different. The vape story for every person is going to be different, and that's what's cool about this. That's why I thought I would actually do this video. Okay, so since I actually switched to vaping, which was a little more than 2 years ago, let's go over the positives. The positives, I could breathe better. I sing karaoke. I'm a karaoke host, and I could do that effortlessly now. I used to have to pause like a couple times during each screenful to take another breath, and I would always screw up the song, but not always, but it depends on how many words there are there, Now, that definitely is not the case. I could go through at least a screen and a half on one breath. It's just amazing. Also, I was wheezing in my sleep. I would like try to roll over and find a comfortable position so I don't hear that high-pitched wheezing noise. It's gone. It's totally gone. I used to cough up like all kinds of stuff in the morning and just have coughing attacks. That's gone. Okay. I still do have coughing attacks every now and then, but they're totally random. And it's not even attributed to vaping. Like, for instance, I could be without vaping, and all of a sudden here comes this crazy cough attack, you know? It happens, you know? But it doesn't happen as much, and the frequency of that is far less than it was originally when I first switched over to vaping. So, the negatives. There really aren't many negatives. I mean, one thing is you definitely get dehydrated a little bit, okay? So you got to make sure to drink lots of water, and I do. I chug water all day long. And before vaping, I was like a soda drinker all the way. But I pretty much switched to water. I wanted to live life a little bit healthier. I realized that none of us are immune to death, because we're all going to have a death eventually. So I want to prolong how long I am on this planet. Vaping is one of the things. All right, so no, I mean, really, there really aren't many negatives. I mean, dehydration, yeah. Make sure to stay hydrated, folks, because if you're vaping, it definitely gets you dehydrated, more so than when you were smoking, more so than a regular person in the walks of life that doesn't smoke or vape. Definitely stay hydrated, okay? If you had one thing you could tell your representatives about vaping and why it should stay, what would it be? I kind of just went over that, didn't I? I mean, I've already mentioned the positive things about vaping and what effects it's had on me. That really says it all. That question's kind of redundant, you know, because there is not one thing. I mean, well, okay, the one thing is better health, prolonged life, you know, that's about it. Let me give you my story and what got me to where I'm at, okay? Okay, so back in 2007, I was living in Solvang, California, and like I said, I tried the nicotine patches. I tried also a couple e-cigs that were like at a liquor store that are cig-alike things. I don't even remember what brand name they were. It doesn't matter. They all sucked. It was horrible. Then I went to Safe Sig, okay? And Safe Sig, they kind of had some flavored tobacco flavors, okay? It wasn't bad, but it wasn't really fulfilling, and it didn't get me to where I am right now. I was still smoking, but not quite as much. I mean, it was like a half and half deal, like I was mentioning. After that, I went with Blue. I figured, oh, these things suck. Let me go with a bigger brand name. Let me go with Blue. It was horrible. What a waste of money. What a total waste of money that was. Wow. It was like something like 70 or 80 bucks for the whole kit, and I used it for like a month and a half or so, tried it out, and I was still smoking, and it didn't really do it. And then I said, screw it with electronic devices, and I went back to smoking for like a year. And then I worked for a company called Phone Power. It's a voice over IP phone company, okay? So they provide phone service through the internet. And there were a couple people there that were vaping, but they had some interesting rigs. Like, I don't know, this one dude, what did he have? Was it called the screwdriver or something like that? It looked like a screwdriver. He hung it around his neck. And I'm like, huh, that looks interesting. And then he got me all scared about building coils. He had like some kind of a dripper. And I'm like, I don't know about all that. It was way too much, way ahead of where I was at, you know. So, yeah, you know, but I got interested. And he's like, you know what you need to do is, you know, you don't need to start off here. Get like a cheap Chinese device, not a cig-alike, but a cheap Chinese device, whatever type of thing. You know, it's cost effective, and you'll see that it's going to work better than those little cig-alikes that you're not having any success with. So, I got one of those iSticks, you know, the square ones, was it VVVW? I think it was version 2. Anyhow, it was like 11 watts or 12 watts, okay? Little square things, okay? And I had some kind of tank, I don't know, like a CE4 or something like that. I forget exactly, okay? But then it started working a little better, and I definitely way cut back on the cigarettes. I was just smoking cigarettes like after meals and after other activities, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink. All right, so that helped. That definitely helped. And plus, I was allowed to do that in the bar. In California, we didn't have any kind of laws or restrictions on it. I was able to do it in the bar, and certainly it didn't produce that much vapor where it's going to offend anyone. And people thought it was actually really cool. They're like, "Well, what you doing there?" You know. And I actually helped get some people that were smokers to switch to vaping at that point. Which this was back in 2014, 13, 14. I don't remember exactly. I'm really bad with dates and memories. It's not the point, but the point is that I was already there trying it and already there trying to help people switch, even though I still wasn't fully converted, but I realized the effects and how better I already feel. You know, even though I way cut back on the cigarettes, I was still doing them. I already was starting to feel better. Um, and then it came. I don't eat the best food, okay? I'm really like a junk food junkie, okay? Then it came, and I had like, they said it was like a massive heart attack. I don't know. It didn't feel that massive to me because here I am doing my karaoke gigs and I'm up at night and I'm like, wait a second, I don't feel right. Something doesn't feel right. And I was in bed. It was like 2 in the morning or something. I was in bed and I kept like getting up, sitting down. I got up, smoked a cigarette, laid back down, got up, smoked another cigarette, laid back down. Like, what is all this pressure, man? There's all this pressure. It feels like someone's sitting on my chest. Kept pacing around the apartment, smoking more and more cigarettes because I didn't know what the hell was going on. Never experienced anything like that. And eventually I'm like, okay, something's just not right. It's not going away. I got my ass in the car and went to West Hills emergency room, local hospital around here. And I came right in. They immediately ran over to me like, I don't know what I look like. Apparently, I must look like I was in need. They're like, what's wrong with you? You know, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know. There's a lot of pressure on my chest. And they're like, come in with us immediately. I'm like, okay, sure. Doctor comes in. He's all, lift your tongue. I lift my tongue. And he shoots some little nitroglycerin things. And he's all, it's not working. We need to get you up to the cath lab upstairs immediately. Like, you have to go now. There's no choice. I'm like, all right, do what you need to do. You know, I didn't know what was going on. And I was still with it. I was still wide awake and alert. Like, I didn't know what was going on. And so they get me up there and they gave me an IV with something. I was feeling really drowsy. And I'm like kind of in and out. But I heard them talking during the whole time. And they were shoving these stents. Everyone calls it something different, but stents. They were shoving these things up my groin. They put 3 of them in there. And I kind of was out of it. I woke up the next morning. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Yeah, what am I doing here? And then the nurse explained what was going on and that I'm going to be there a few days. I'm like, I want to get out of here right now. What, are you kidding me? I hate hospitals. I hate doctors. I hate hospitals. So I'm like, all right. And I waited it out. And on the 3rd day, the doctor's like, yeah, one more day. I'm like, doctor, I'm out right now. If you don't sign me out, I'm just going to walk out of here, okay? I am out. I will pull this IV out of my arm and walk out. You might as well just save us the trouble and sign me out, okay? He's all, wow, you really want to go, don't you? I'm like, yeah, I feel great. I feel really good now, okay? And he's all, well, you should feel good. We just opened up your blood flow again. I'm like, oh, yeah, well, I feel great. He's all, you know, take it easy. Try not to eat as much junk and definitely get off those cigarettes. He was like mad. He was like, don't you understand this is going to kill you? And I'm like, okay, doc, okay. So that was like the breaking point that made me realize why I need to stop smoking if I want to continue living, okay? And that's why I shared this whole thing with you, because it's kind of a long story, but it's really kind of important because, you know what? You and you and you might be in that very same position soon if you haven't already been there. So it's very important to stop the cigarettes. Really it is. I mean, if you like life and you enjoy what's going on around you, you have family and friends that care, stop smoking. Just stop. It's a thing of the past, and it just needs to go away. I can't even believe the troubles that we're having with this FDA thing when they already know it's a much healthier alternative. They already know, but they're getting funded and paid off by big tobacco to keep it alive and big pharma because they're not getting as many sick people. So, oh man, I'm really upset the way that it is, that it's not so accepting or acceptable by the FDA and other government agencies. All right, so at that point, I was still smoking. I couldn't get rid of it. I mean, over 30 years, how do you stop something like that when it's just something that feels so good when you do it? But I started vaping more and more, and I switched from that VVVW thing to the MVP3, I think it was, or 2, I don't know. Little square box Innokin, and I upgraded to an Aspire tank. What was it, Atlantis or something? I don't know. Anyhow, it was way better. and drastically cut back on the cigs. And here it is now, like 2015, almost, And I'm like, huh. I started watching YouTube, and I started with Indoor Smokers, Grim Green, Brian from the Vapor Chronicles, a couple other people. I met up with Heathen. Not met up, but I mean, like, I went onto his channel, Tommy Vapers, Vaping with the Vape Ladies, like, I don't know, a bunch of different people, okay? And Fagan, he was another one. There's a lot. I should have made a list of different YouTubers that I could shout out, because there's certainly a lot of them. And I'm still connected to all of them now, even though I'm not able to really watch them all the time due to my limited time, But I'm like, huh, so many people are doing this. Everyone says I have a great announcing voice. I should do this too. So I started my channel way after everyone else started their channel, And I wasn't looking for numbers. I wasn't looking for notoriety. I wasn't looking for any of that. I just wanted to help some people that I was near and dear to that still smoked, and directed them towards my channel. And thought I would, maybe do some good for them too. And all of a sudden I started getting subscribers, like randomly finding me. And they're like, keep it up, you're doing a great job. I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing. But I just started doing it. And I should have done it a long time ago. Probably wouldn't have had that heart problem, So yeah, that kind of brought me to why and where and how I started my channel, And started getting more and more people, and then all of a sudden companies started finding their way to me. They're like, hey, we want you to review our liquid. I'm like, oh, that's cool, right on. At first I was just buying everything, and but I was still smoking every now and then. Like, it wasn't like smoking constantly and every day, but like I still had a pack, and instead of going through 2 packs a day, 1 pack would last me more than a week, maybe even 2 weeks, But I was still kind of smoking, and I couldn't really ditch it all the way. And at that point, I actually got one of these beast boxes, these clear acrylic boxes, and I got my first RDA. And I don't know, it was some clone RDA, and it didn't last long. And then I got the Beyond Vape Mako, and that RDA is badass. And I still have it. I don't know where it is right now, but I still have it and use it to this day. And when I got that, this is like a couple weeks into starting my YouTube channel, I decided that's it. That is totally it. Goodbye cigarettes. Out the frickin' door you go. Stay true to the vape. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here right now. I think if I was still smoking, I wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't be here talking to you guys. It's just very important you guys stop. Anyone out there that's still smoking, stop while you're ahead. Stop while you are on Mother Earth right now, while you can. Because if you have any friends, any family, even one person that cares, you don't want to let them down. You don't want to leave, the planet or life early. You want to be around so people could enjoy you and you could enjoy them. So it's very important to stop, folks. Oh yeah, another thing. When did I start smoking? I actually started smoking thanks to my mom, because she was smoking Parliaments. And when I was a little kid, I don't know, like 11 or 12, I mean, she would leave them on the bar counter all the time at the house. And, for my friends and I, we would like sneak one and like pass it back and forth, and we get all lightheaded and funny. And anyhow, that's kind of where it started. And then I was sent off to boarding school. And when I was at boarding school, and this is now where I was like, I don't know, like 15, we would do town trips. And on the town trips, we'd always go by the liquor store, and they didn't really care at the time. You just say, hey, I'm getting some for my parents. This is the early 80s. No one questioned you. They're like, oh yeah, no worries, here you go. And they were like $1 a pack, and really easy access to them. And so I started smoking more and more and more. And even though I was in boarding school, we couldn't openly smoke. If you smoked, you would get busted and be doing a trash detail and cleaning up the whole campus and stuff. So, but I made it unscathed. Like, I didn't get caught once. Thought I was really sly, But it started there. And once I got out of high school, and like I let on to my parents that I smoked, my mom's like, yeah, when the housekeeper goes to the market, I'll get you a carton, And she kept doing that for years, because people didn't really know. They didn't really in the early 80s, we were kind of catching on and knowing, but it was acceptable. It was all right. And she was supplying my habit. It's really crazy how your parent unknowingly wants to kill you, you know? But after that, after a little while went by, she stopped smoking. She didn't do it with any patches or any funny tricks or anything. She just quit. She just quit. She knew it was bad, and she urged me to quit at the time, and I never did, you know? So anyhow, that is my vape story. 22 minutes into this thing. Sorry it took so long, but I'm a very detail-oriented person. If you don't already know me, that's just how I am. So I hope some of you found this video useful. If you know any people that smoke still, please direct them to this video. I told Christina first, I'm like, you know what? She's like, you know, just send me the video, send me a link. And I said, yeah, I'll leave it unpublished so you could just use it exclusively, but I'm not going to. I'm going to actually publish it on my channel so you guys that are subscribers of mine can see it. And if you have any friends that still smoke, direct them to this video. And I really think there's enough information in here for them to realize what harm it could possibly do. Coming from me. Gotta keep getting the camera. Wow. The camera's mounted on the laptop right in front of me. But no, they don't realize what harm it'll do and what brought me here to the place that I'm at. And hopefully they'll want a better quality life, you know. So, yeah. I wouldn't say vaping has saved my life, but I would say vaping has prolonged my life. I definitely wouldn't be here if it wasn't for vaping, okay? But nothing's going to save your life. Nothing is. Not even the man in the clouds. The only thing that's going to save your life is you. Or prolong your life, will I say. Because no one's going to be saved. No one's ever saved. It just doesn't work that way. Anyone that thinks so is delusional. You're never going to be saved. But just enjoy life while you're here on this planet. That's the best I could tell you. And other than that, I am going to sign out. Oh, one more thing. I'm sorry. Leading up to the whole heart attack thing, I did have a stroke, and that's why I kind of have speech problems sometimes. I can't help it. I never had that before. But, you know, some people want to poke fun and laugh and all that. Yeah, it's real funny. Wait till it happens to you if you're still smoking. You know, so that is why it is the way it is, you know. So, yeah, like I said, I'm out of here. Thank you all so much for watching. All right, guys, you have a stellar day. Be excellent to everyone. And remember me, I am KJ Andy O, your host with the most. Y'all take care, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.